Guys, it's Kasim. Welcome back again to my channel. So I wanted to talk to you about Bob Proctor. Um, I wrote down three things that sort of taught me as Kasim, and I wanted to share them with you. And I hope that in some way you might find them useful. They may be able to add some value to the quality of your life. But before I get into those, guys, if you want to help me get to 1,000 subscribers by June, if you find this video useful, please can you like and subscribe to my channel? You'd be an absolute legend. Okay, cool. Let's go. So. Let me firstly begin off with this. One of the major things that I've really learned about, I learned from Bob Proctor because I spent a lot of time studying him, particularly when I first started studying success, is that he talks a lot about, look, if you've tried something your way and it isn't working, that means something about you or what you're doing is wrong. And I think this is for me as Kasim, this was what I call an inconvenient truth. I didn't really want to accept this because psychologically, when you begin, for a lot of us, when we're presented with new information, the first thing that we do is deny it. We go into denial, right? They say that denial is the first of all the human emotions. Anytime we're presented with anything that contradicts what we believe, we deny it automatically. And for me, I really had to start, Bob Proctor made me start really starting to look at myself and start challenging some of the things that I thought I knew. Like, he was like, well, what is success? And I was like, well, I don't really know. I've never really thought about what success is. I thought success was having a family, having a really good job, having kids. I thought that's what it was. But Bob Proctor was like, well, that's not necessarily true. Because some other people define success to be different. Some people, success is winning an Olympic medal. Some people, is becoming a millionaire. Some people, it's not having kids. If they don't have kids and they have freedom and they can do whatever it is that they want a missus, they want a house, everything, but they just don't want kids. That to them is success. And I was like, interesting. And I'd never really thought about that before. And so I guess really one of the first things that I want to share with you, and maybe you want to think about in your own life, is how do you define success? Have you ever thought about like your version of success? Have you written it down? And then like, because the thing that I've realized about success is actually success changes as you grow as a person. As you develop, like for example, there's a lot of women who I come across and I've interviewed who are mothers, and they say to me that when they were, I would say to them, God, you're such a great mother. And they say to me, well, Kasim, it's a funny thing that you say that because when I was 25, I absolutely hated kids. I swore that I would never have kids. But because all I wanted to do is focus on my career and have freedom and be able to travel. And I never really thought that I would ever really meet anybody because I'd had such bad experiences with partners, and then my parents divorced as well. The last thing I ever thought about was having kids. But now that my life has changed and I've developed and I've learned more things about myself, I now have got to the point where I do want kids. And obviously I've had kids, and I would even have more if my husband would even let me. And so what I've realized is that as you get older, your version of success will change, right? When you're in school, your version of success is to just get the best grades possible. When you're at university, your version of success is to just get a first, right? When you are a father, your version of success is to be the best possible father that you can be. Well, I hope it is anyway. You may not agree with me. But my point being is, maybe for you, you are still holding on to a version of success that no longer fits the person that you are today. You used to be somebody who didn't believe in love, whose your philosophy about relationships was based on the way that your parents were because they divorced. But you've actually managed to find somebody who you love now, and you need to upgrade your philosophy. You need to upgrade your belief system to match where you're at. You need to align your version of success with where you're at. Because, for example, you may find somebody who's actually really good for you, but you sabotage the relationship because it feels weird. It doesn't feel right because you've always been used to people treating you really badly. So even though now you've got a great man who loves you, who wants you, takes care of you, who's good looking, whatever you may define your type of man to be, you may be like, yeah, I just don't like it. Something's off. And you actually end up sabotaging the relationship. And Bob Proctor really made me think about this in my own life. He was like, well, what's your attitude? You know, like I was quite a very confrontational person back in the days. Like I always believed I was operating very high in ego and always believed that I was right and it was and my way was always true. But he said, well, not necessarily, because it's possible for two people to both be right. And I was like, well, that's bullshit because I have to be right and you have to be wrong. That's the way the world works. Bob Proctor was like, not true. It is possible for you to be for you to be right and for somebody else to be right as well. Right? For example, a couple in a relationship, it is possible for both of you to want the house to be a certain way or to want a certain bathroom, and you're both right because that's what you want. But then you compromise and you go for what you go for a bath that you want, and then you let your missus have the mirror that she wants or whatever it may be. And so you're both right. It's just that you're coming to a compromise. And I'd never really thought about this kind of stuff before. And it's something that I would encourage you to think about. The second thing that Bob Proctor made me think about and really learn in life is to write down what it is that I want and to get really clear about what it is that I want. You know, it's interesting. As most of you know, I've spent the last 7 years studying people who've started with nothing and built incredible lives. And many times people ask me, Kasim, why do you have a goal-setting workshop? Why are you constantly talking about goals and visions and dreams? And I say to people, because that is the first step. Until you know what it is that you want, everything else is irrelevant. The obstacles are irrelevant. How much money you have is irrelevant. How many people can help you is irrelevant. Until you know where you're going, how you're going to get there is irrelevant. Because in order to know how you're going to get somewhere, you first need to know where it is that you want to go. And a lot of us, we don't want to make a decision, because when we make a decision, when we decide where we want to go, automatically that now leaves room for disappointment. That now automatically, because we've just raised our expectations. A lot of people love to be wishy-washy, and they're kind of like, well, we'll see what happens in our relationship. Well, let's just date and we'll see what happens. Instead of actually saying what they really want, which is, I want a relationship, I want to find love, I want to get married, I want somebody who I can rely on, who's stable, who's consistent in my life. Because the moment that you say that, you now leave yourself vulnerable. You leave yourself exposed for disappointment, for the other person to let you down, for the other person to reject you, right? And so a lot of people never say that, and then they end up in this kind of wishy-washy area, and then when they are disappointed, they're just like, well, I knew it, but they never even address their intention in the first place. So the thing that Bob Proctor really drummed to me is, write down what it is that you want. Get clear on it. Yes, of course, you may be disappointed. Like, life is disappointment. Like I say to people all the time, that the result of living is consequences. When you actually decide to live and you decide to go out there and experience life, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be disappointed because that is the result of living. When you're not disappointed, when you don't have problems in your life, when you don't have obstacles in your life, that is usually when you're not dreaming anything, when you're not going for anything, when you're not trying to live, when you're not going out there and actually experiencing life. A lot of people try to evade life. We try to tiptoe our way through life, trying to get to our grave safely, but we're all going to end up at our grave. You know, the length of your life is not equal to the quality of your life. Meaning, how long you live does not mean that you lived well. It is possible to live an error-free life and still be a failure. And Bob Proctor really dropped down that to me. So, you know, and you learn this more as you get older, because people just start dying. When you're young, you think you're forever and it doesn't really matter. But when people start dying in front of you, you're like, whoa. Right? There's so many things I haven't done, and my mum's died, and my aunties died, and my grandparents are passing away, and my best friend's mum is dying, and we were really close to them, and my boss died of a heart attack, and it's like, what the hell is going on? And so a lot of people tend to start pursuing their jobs, their dreams and their goals, and living on purpose as when they're old. But that's when they have the least amount of energy, and they have to hurry everything in that time scale. So my recommendation to you is live, go for it. Better to fail and try than not to have tried at all. The last thing that Bob Proctor made me really think about is to really look at who I am as Kasim. And one of the things that he talked about is he's not talking about me as Kasim, as in what's my name. Because there's loads of people who change their name, but who they are, the essence, is still the same. He's not talking about who am I, what's my job title, right? Because whenever you ask people, who are you, they say, I'm a teacher. No, like, because there's loads of people who change their careers and who they are still remains the same. In other words, what Bob made me think about is, Kasim, let's remove all of the artificial stuff from your life. Let's remove your name. Let's remove everything that society has given you, that other people have given you, and let's jump down to the core. Let's see what is left. Let's see who you actually are. Let's peel back the layers. Let's crack the shell, and let's see what is lying underneath that. Because here's the thing. I didn't know that most people, that's what they want to see. Most of us, to protect ourselves, obviously, and it's a psychological thing, and it's a self-defense thing, and obviously it's a survival thing, we show the world a facade. We show people sort of a 2.0 version of ourselves. We show them the polished version. I was saying to somebody, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, that because they were complaining about their life and being unhappy, and they have everything, and I said, do you know why you're unhappy? Because everybody thinks that you're perfect. Everybody thinks that you're happy, but people have only ever seen your shell. Nobody's actually ever known you. And he was like, well, yeah, but my best friend's seen me. And I was like, really? Has your best friend seen the ugly side of you? Have you told your best friend that you're heavily depressed? And I was like, yeah, but Kasim, that's not who I am. I was like, that is who you are. The fact that you get these depressed episodes, that is you. And I said to him, like, who you actually are, to truly know somebody, you need to see the ugly side of them. Because anybody can look pretty when they're all looking good, when they're successful. Anyone can do that. It doesn't matter who you are. But to expose your ugly side and risk not being loved is truly living. That is truly exposing who you are. That is... I remember I listened to something by a woman called Marianne Williamson. She wrote a poem, and the poem went something like this. You playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people will accept you. As you let your own light shine, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same because they're liberated from their fears. A lot of us don't realize that when you become who you are at your core, more of it, like you expose it, you crack it, and you expose it to the world, that is when people are liberated. Why do you think people are so attracted to people like the Batman, the Wolverine, poetry, music? Because it's these people who are artists and these poets and these musicians, and they've peeled back all of the facade of trying to look perfect and have exposed who they are at their core. And the world has seen them, and it's made the people who've listened to the music or the poetry or the play think about their own lives and are like, God, that's what I want to be like. Oh, that's what I feel like. And a lot of us don't forget this, right? We forget that us being ourselves and exposing who we are can liberate other people. So those are the three things that Bob Proctor made me think about, and I don't know whether you've ever thought about them or whether you find this useful or whatever, but I hope in some ways added some value to the quality of your life. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to help me get to 1,000 subscribers by June, please can you like and subscribe to my channel? You'd be an absolute legend. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.